Okay, so welcome this morning to the last day of CL and MPN Horizons. We're doing a kind of experiment, Sophia and I, because we're doing this this presentation together interactively, because we thought, we should do it probably differently because social media is interactive. It doesn't make any sense that just Sophia or I stand there. We prepared for weeks for this session. To be honest, we just finalized it during breakfast. So you can see it's hot off the press. That's also typical for social media. I think Sophia got a bit nervous about me. I have to apologize publicly here in front of everybody that I really gave some sweat and tears to Sophia and that. But what we are going to talk about is social media. And you know, we're not internet specialists. We are more learning by doing, because we have been using the potential of social media for our advocacy organizations for quite a while. And we thought, instead of giving these presentations about social media and the high arts of everything where you're totally blasted off what social media services can do, we thought we really focus on two services, Facebook and Twitter, and give some examples and practical tips about how to use that. And we're also going to tell you what the American elections tell us in terms of social media. It's just about 500 minutes, because these are all the social media services that are out there, like Flickr, YouTube, Wikipedia, and whatever. And in about the next 500 minutes, we're going to talk about all of them. No, we're just focusing on Facebook and Twitter. But what's the special thing about social media? The special thing is the web used to be a medium where people that had the money and the servers were actually providing content to the masses. And this has changed with social media, because people are themselves generating content, are generating interaction. Some people are stimulating interaction, but then actually community contributes to it. And that's the, let's say, the thing for all the services you can see there, and I guess you know many of them, that people actually publish their own opinions. It is absolutely, it's not a matter of cost, it's not a matter of time. You can actually be content creator, you can be the media, using social media. And the other thing that is typical to social media is the constant interaction. It is fast, it is transient, it is just an interaction between different people. It's not one to N, it's N to N in terms of many people talking to many people at the same time. So that's the core of social media. And so, what is social media?
So it's my time. Let's take away Jan, otherwise he'll just mobilize and take about my slides, which are the red ones, so that to let you know, when it's red and Jan starts to talk, it's my time to talk. So social media is about engagement with people. Social media, as Jan said, is completely location independent. You can write everything wherever you are. It's like social media is taking place online. Like internet is a global village. We are here, and Jan is going to take a picture of me and is going to post it, and everyone in the whole world is going to know that I'm here talking about social media. And no? Someone commented on something? Giora, yes, okay. So Giora is also going to post it. Social media is user-generated, so everyone can publish things, and people can also use the content that other ones created. Usually, and you will see these afterwards in some statistics we're going to show you about this on conference, 1% of people produce the content, but 99% of people share it and use it. Also, of course, social media is highly accessible and scalable, because everything that, for example, in Facebook, everything that you publish, your friends will see, and then if you share it, the friends of your friends will see, and then again, if one of your friends will see, this will be scalable. Next slide. So we have a blue one now.
So why should patient organizations use social media? And I mean, we all know about outreach. We all know we're trying to convey our message. We want to try to talk about what we as patients are doing. We want to provide support. And these are basically the three different areas where we as patient groups can make use of social media. pretty clear reach out and campaign. So you're trying to publish on your Facebook pages, on your websites, on your forums, on your mailing lists, on your YouTube channels, and so on, information about your disease, about MPN, about CLL, about quality of life, about side effect management, about what the most moving issues are for your community. But you also have patients sharing their own stories. I mean, I've been running an online forum now for 14 years. This was long before, I mean, I founded my online community in 2002. Facebook was founded in 2004. Google went to the stock market also in 2004. So I started at a time when nobody knew what a blog is. But I opened the forum at that time, and suddenly people started sharing. And today I have 21,000 posts in that forum just about CML in Germany. And you can actually see that people are sharing. It's the best database you can have because any aspect about CML has been covered in the forum already. And that's where you can see that the more sophisticated your users get with a disease and so on, they start sharing. So sharing is a very important bit. And we're going to talk a bit more about this later on. And then, of course, collaborate and do research. I mean, networks like yours here are just perfect examples of networking and building data. We've run a survey of CML patients on adherence. We recruited 2,500 CML patients via social media and online just within a couple of weeks. This is what no research network, no doctors network has accomplished, and you can do that by internet and then actually generate data which is useful for any kind of advocacy work that you do. So do research and collaborate between over country borders is the third thing you can do on social media very easily.
Okay, so, but you also have to pay attention, because whatever you put on the web, it stays there forever. So then people can Google it and can access this information. And when you are representing an organization, people will see your positions and what you write as part of your organization. So be aware of what you write, and be aware that it's like you are putting a poster in a wall or shouting out loud in a corner. This message that go into the internet, stay there. Come on, Jan talks a lot. I just, when I'm talking, I just go like this, and he talks and talks, and he says some things that you're saying, I'm just going to say it later. So come on, take it easy.
I'm going to talk less. Okay. So why should you engage in social media? It increases your visibility. It increases the impact that your patient organization has. It helps you to build a community, a virtual community of patients, because we all know in the diseases that we have, usually we don't. People have normal jobs, they have a normal life, so they probably don't go to local patient groups, but they go to the internet and communicate with peers. And they also they talk to you, they give you feedback, they interact. You can interact with your audience and they can tell you what they're interested in. And one of the core things that is really important is go where your audience is. I don't know in the last 14 years how often I had the discussion with people, advocates that said, I don't like Facebook. Well, it doesn't matter if you don't like Facebook. If you're on the board of an organization, don't like Facebook, who cares? It's not for you, it's for your patients. So if your patients are on Facebook, you need to be there because you need to serve them. And you need to serve them where they are, and you can't force them to come to your support groups or to your online forum. So that's very important to think about always, and try to always look at social media as the platform where your patients are. And what we're going to talk about later in the presentation now is about the four things: your audience, your goals, your timing, and your resources.
Okay. I want you to use this one. Hello? No, it's
Can you switch on the roaming mic?
Hello? Thank you. Okay, so this is essential to find out who's your audience, what's your message, and what happened? who you're going to speak with, what are your available resources, and then you find out which is the best way to communicate with your audience. Different audiences are sensible to different messages and also to different communication channels. And also, this can vary dependent on local context. This varies from country to country. And, of course, selecting your message according to your audience, this needs to be learned. You need to know who is your audience, because just then you can connect with them, and it is essential to make a connection. If you make a connection, you can evoke emotions, you can interact. So that's the point. And these are all kinds of audiences that we have identified as important for us patient advocates, depending on what kind of message we want to communicate. And these are the channels, the means that are most suited to contact with these audiences. If you want to contact with general public, the best channels are Facebook and Twitter. If you want to contact with patients, the best channels are in fact Facebook and LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals, LinkedIn is a very good channel to interact with. Policymakers, journalists and media, Twitter is the choice. We're not going to speak about LinkedIn today because we wouldn't have time. We can give you some tips afterwards if you like to, but we'll just stick on Facebook and Twitter.
So to be honest, those are the slides I deleted on last minute to say we stay on time. So Sophia has the slides about LinkedIn if you want them. This is delay. So one of the things that I always hear is my patients are not on the internet, especially in CLL. The average age, I don't know what the incidence is, something around 70 if I recall right. I hear that all the time, but I can tell you it's fundamentally wrong. It's your impression, but it's not right, because I run a community in Germany. I see, I would say 50% of the traffic in my form is CLL, and many of them are above 70. But also a lot of the participants are daughters, nephews, and younger partners, and whatever of the patient, which actually take care of getting the information. So a Eurobarometer report provided by the European Commission years ago already has said every European citizen in some way has access to internet information, whether directly or they have a relative serving with internet information. So our main problem today is no longer online, offline, even though we like to reduce it to that fact. The issue is actually educational level. It's language and ethnic minorities. I mean, just think about the Syrians that are in Germany. Think about other, let's say, language people that live in my country, and it's the same for your country. These are the people that usually don't get information about your healthcare system because it's only available in your native language. Or if you talk about educational level, if people have the capability of reading text of a 12-year-old, they wouldn't understand online information, but they wouldn't understand your print brochures as well if you do it that way. So it's really about the audience. It's about educational level, language, ethnic minorities, which is our key problem, not online, offline. And when I argue with people about, but we need to do print, I always said, have you ever measured the impact of your print material? You print 3,000 brochures, you distribute into the clinical centers. 50% of them just are hidden somewhere in the clinic, never get to the patient. They are outdated by the time they get to the patient. So are they really as effective as you think? You need to, if you evaluate your communication strategy, look at the effectiveness not only of online but also of print.
Oh, so it's my time. About social media interactivity and what to do and what not to do. And here are some tips for you. Again, at least I am not a social media professional. This is only some tips that we got from running our own organizations. And you should be social and conversational and talk to other users, and not try to push message without listening or responding, interacting with your audience. You must you must make them understand that you care for them, and you must learn what they want, they want you to learn about them. That takes some time. But then you can add value to the conversation. Then you can share some really interesting information. And then you should not spam the audience and promote yourself. You should post frequently, but not that frequently. Messages should be posted in a certain rate. We'll be seeing that.
If you talk about spamming the audience, I mean, it's thinking about content. So create a stream of useful articles. But if you have nothing to say, don't post. And that's what sometimes people think. They just think, we haven't posted something in our Facebook page for 3 days, so we should post something. And then think about cat pictures. Typical example, people have nothing to tell, so they photograph their cat and put it on Facebook. I'm unfriending people which are doing that. So if you have nothing to say, don't post. Just post when you have something to say. Share helpful educational and entertainment content, but don't be too dry. And I say that as a German. Don't be too dry and purely informational and post only statements. Some have, we have to work on it. I have to work on it. And respond to criticism in a calm and constructive manner. So when people start what we call a flame war on the internet, because people are emotional, they think they are not being taken serious, they think the therapy choice that they've made is the best one of all, and everybody should follow them. And also if they criticize how you run your organization, try to be calm, try to calm down, try to put somebody else in the conversation, just try to get the level down, because people say on internet things that they would never say face to face, because it's so easy to push out a message when you don't face the people and see a human person on the other side. So try to be rational. So don't be dry on the message, but be dry on criticism. That's probably an important thing. And don't ignore questions or comments from other users. Don't take 3 days until your compliance department in your patient organization has thought about the response. You need to be very quick on the internet, especially when discussions heat up. It's a matter of hours that you can avoid that the whole thing is going up in flames. So being instant on these things and monitoring what's going on in your online forums, your Facebook group, is very important. Red.
Okay, so I don't know if you said that about don't share the same message again and again, repost it and repost it. Sometimes we don't have anything to say. Yeah, we don't have anything to say and we just post the same message again. And at the end, if you want, we can give you some tips about how to deal with these less friendly comments and how to react. We can give you some tips about this. Listen and learn with your audience, of course. You don't, on the other hand, you don't have to spend all the time listening, because you have to create something. Otherwise, you won't be adding value. And you have to keep an eye on statistics and analyze what you're posting, and you have to monitor them, because you mustn't confuse and mistake likes for clicks. It is so easy to put like. You just see everything on Facebook and you just put like, so that the people or the person that you're following in knows that, oh, she liked my pictures. And sometimes you don't even see the content, you just click like. This is not the same as entering a link and reading an article. Don't mistake likes for clicks, or lack of likes for lack of interest, because sometimes there are so many things that you just people don't click like. Use social media managing tools to schedule posts, like Hootsuite. Okay.
Yes.
Jan will explain to you how it works later, maybe. And don't schedule your posts all the time instead of being spontaneous, because social media is about what's happening at the time, at the right moment. So if you schedule things, you won't be spontaneous, and things will be updated in a moment.
What is also important is being focused. I mean, social media scales up Be efficient with that. Just people are saying we need to provide individual support, and they run hotlines and they respond to emails. And it can take you all day and 26 hours a day to respond to patients that are sending individual emails to you. What I've done always since I started social media was always post the same question that you sent by email in the forum of our organization. I'm going to respond in the forum because I know that about 2,000 people are going to see that post over the next couple of weeks, and they're going to benefit from the response that we give. If we answer one-to-one, it doesn't scale. It doesn't scale at all, and you will never be able to serve your community that way. You cannot employ as many people on the hotline to respond to individual requests. Of course, sometimes there are questions which are extremely individual, sexual issues and things like that. You only want to respond one-to-one, but I hardly do that. I've been doing that always. Send the same message on the forum, I'm going to respond there within an hour. And so people have the response, but it scales. Always think about the social media that only 1% write, 99% read. So what I see very often in our forum that people are saying, I've been reading now for 6 months in this forum, and now I have a question. And that sees how it duplicates. So for example, the thread in my forum with 12 posts only, just a simple thread on a topic, has about 3,000 full thread views. So people read the whole thing 3,000 times, even though there are only 12 posts. So that demonstrates how you multiplicate. And then also prioritize social media channels. Of course, you can, quite often patient organizations do the mistake, they get funding, then they contract an agency, then they open up a Twitter account, a Facebook channel, a YouTube channel, whatever, a LinkedIn profile, whatever, and then finally the budget runs out and then they don't serve the channels anymore, and you have dead accounts, which people find and they think you're not doing anything because you can't serve it anymore. Do priorities and say expand as you grow, start what you can maintain. Don't start big and then minimize. That's much more difficult. So probably just start with Facebook and Twitter instead of trying to serve them all at once. It will keep you busy forever.
So Facebook, you're late on time, 5 minutes. Facebook, it's the most popular channel, serves all ages, except the youngest. The youngest do prefer Twitter. It's very, very useful for driving conversations around a certain subject, for raising awareness, and for running campaigns. These are the three main things. Starting a Facebook page is very easy. You just create a Facebook page, you use your company's logo as a profile picture, you use a landscape picture, a nice one. But then to maintain a Facebook page, it's not that easy. You need resources. And if you open a page like a course page, it is difficult to grow, to increase the number of people liking your page. So our advice to you is that you start with a simple Facebook page, but as an individual, and asking your friends that you know that are interested by these topics, these issues, and you go where your audience is and invite them to be your friend. And afterwards, when you have a certain number of friends, you invite them, you build a course page and you invite them to like your course page. And then you can increase and build your course page like this. Of course, pages are for the public and they create huge outreach. And then you have also the chance to create private groups or public, but you can also have them private, which is very good for patient support within Facebook. Events or campaigns can be a thing which is can be very, very awareness rising with using Facebook tools. And we must go on.
What people don't know usually when you use Facebook is that there are very sophisticated stats tools there. So when you run a page, you can exactly see how many people are seeing your posts and which posts, what time, and sometimes you can even analyze demographics.
Let me just interrupt you. A course page. This is a course page, right? It's not an individual page.
No, it's an organization's page. Yeah. That's from the CML Advocates Network, a page, and that's the stats, the statistics. To make the distinction. And you can actually see here, there are a couple of posts, and you can see how happy everybody was when we employed Celia and Lydia and CML Advocates, because that's the post that has been most popular with 2,500 people. And you can see what we posted afterwards wasn't very successful. So you can actually see live and instantly which topics your audience is interested in. It's very difficult to measure that with any other tool than Facebook, because they are focusing, because they're advertisement driven. They know exactly, but they don't only do the stats for them, they're also doing the stats for you when you run a page. And it's very easy to use, and you can click in and analyze and so on. It's really, you don't need a lot of knowledge about that.
Okay, so I'm going to be very quick because we are running out of time. But you should post links to articles, news and research blogs, something really interesting. Share stories, patient stories. This really creates empathy and humanizes what you're sharing. Challenge the audience, just ask questions and provoke reactions. Try to interact. This is the main thing about Facebook. It's about engaging with your audience, provoking, reacting. Try to use images whenever you can. Post videos when possible. Friends of friends, just spread a message. They can share your messages. And the best days of the week and the best times to post on Facebook are during Wednesdays, on Thursdays, between 10 to 3 p.m. or after 9. But this is just theory. You just post whenever you can. When we have a limit, we have limited resources, so it's whenever you can. Read carefully the comments and statistics, because you can learn a lot from them. And maybe, Jan, this is yours. Okay,
this is my double life. I mean, I've been hiding my cancer identity for 7 years when I was diagnosed. And Facebook, you can't split your personality easily there. So usually what you share on Facebook, you share with all your friends. And sometimes people don't want to tell that they have cancer. So think about what you do on Facebook, that when you have a secret group they can join, if you want them to share a message of your organization, they're telling all their friends, is that what they want? So always think about the double life or double identity that cancer patients often have, trying to separate their professional, their friends, and their cancer identity from each other. So that's always something to consider when using Facebook. I think the last point we covered. Do you want to give some examples?
Yeah, just wanted to give Mayo Clinic as an example, because didn't want to go through our organizations. I wanted to show these because I think it's really good, the kind of images they use, the way they use the logo, and then the kind, you can put the other slide again, the kind of things they share, the number of characters they use, the links they use, the way they engage with you, the questions they ask, the way they try to provoke you and clicking to enter their links. These are good examples of storytelling and of arising your curiosity. I think you should take a look at this as a good example for Facebook.
So now hashtags. Hashtags, what are hashtags? Some of you've been using that throughout the conference. It's this hash, this whatever character, with a short code that you define before you run a campaign or do a conference, like we've decided for MPN CLL 16 this time. Everybody who is using that appears on the wall if you use it by Twitter, and that's more or less a vertical throughout social media. So if you use that hashtag in any kind of social media, usually you can see all posts of all people you don't know on this hashtag. So people are following posts across accounts, across people on a specific topic. And this is really important because it gives your audience. So be smart about the hashtag. I'm going to talk a bit more about hashtags later on. It's less about research and analytics, but it's more about people that are following what's happening while it is happening. And you can see a lot of people that are following this conference by looking at the hashtag, even though they are not here. That's what we've been seeing at CML Horizons quite often, that people from the outside were posting on our wall because they followed our hashtag, then wanted to communicate with you in the audience.
Twitter. Twitter is not at all my specialty. It's much more Jan's. He will talk about that. But it is one of the most popular rapid instant social media service. And it is amazing. Every second, on average, around 6,000 tweets are tweeted on Twitter, which corresponds to over 50,000 tweets sent per minute, 5 billion tweets per day, which is completely amazing. So this makes Twitter a unique mean of communication.
And hashtags help you not to read them all at once. So what is it? It's a microblogging service, and the people that are tweeting are always complaining it's just 140 characters. But on one hand, it takes you time to squeeze what you want to say into 140 characters. At the same time, it helps you to focus on what is the message, and you can provide a link for people that want to know more. It's pretty cool because in 5 minutes you can see what's trending in a specific topic or what's going on in a conference. If you follow a Facebook page, people keep writing 2-page reports. You'll never get through that if you're doing that whilst you're on a conference. But on Twitter, you can be sure that you don't miss the most important things because everybody has to be very succinct. And the other thing is Facebook only reaches out to the people that are connected to you in some way, either because they're your friends or you're their friends or they're following your page. While on Twitter, through hashtags, you reach out to a lot of people you don't know and you have never been in touch with. And that's especially important for the audiences that Sophia was mentioning earlier on, like journalists, like media, like doctors and so on, because they might never follow your account or haven't heard about you, but they follow a specific topic. And I don't need to explain the wall here. That's just one example. It's just an internet service for 40 euros a month where you can just display all the hashtags, for example, MPN CLL16. It's being displayed here on the wall. You can use it in the browser. You can follow on Twitter and so on. You see all the selfies. I want to see more selfies. Felice, I want to see a selfie of you as well here. I've always been looking until you're there. Selfie. But it's a very nice recording afterwards because after the conference you go to the page and you see what has been going on. I always love that after these conferences to see what I missed during the conference when people were at the coffee breaks and so on. So why Twitter?
Why Twitter? So again, a good tool to reach the general public and specific target groups. Jan already said that, so I'm not going to repeat myself. Good for monitoring and joining conversations. And this is important, identifying online influencers. Jan already said that also. But it's important to repeat it so that you can, because this is really a good way to identify the influencers of whom you want to speak with. And I don't think there's any other thing here which we haven't said yet, so let's not... again, some references for the best hours of the day to tweet, and never tweet more than 1 hour. Try to use fresh news, visual content, share links to educational resources and news, share local events and patient stories. You can reshare stories or tweets from relevant stakeholders. This is important because stakeholders will get involved with you, and this is again about engaging. Interact with the audience using questions like, did you know, or something like this. Let's maybe go.
We go. So now, I said I'm going to cover Trump. And you can, actually, it's just an example of the use of social media. Because you can see that 18.9 million actually liked that post, and 4,500 people have actually shared that. And that's the son, I think, of the daughter of Donald Trump, yes. Just using a hashtag President-elect Trump. And you can see that this is, let's say, emotional content, baby pictures. Do cat pictures, you get the same number of shares. But you can actually see the popularity. And I'm going to show a bit of example. For example, Vladimir Putin was actually congratulating Donald Trump, ask why. But it's quite interesting. I'm just using that as an example to find out about your influences in your community. Because you can then see he had only about 5,000 likes, which probably means that Twitter is not the most famous channel in Russia. But you can also look at he's got 16 followers only, and one of them is Nicolas Sarkozy. So what does that tell us? Apart from Chavez and others. So it's quite interesting to look at that, and you can learn from the very prominent people how they are using social media to manipulate the opinion of populations and also use emotions to actually spread a message. And that was actually a message that Donald Trump did just after he got elected. And you can see the forgotten man and woman will never be forgotten again. This was probably one of the key things of this unfortunate election. And you can... I shouldn't be political, I'm completely politically incorrect, but you can actually see 585 million likes on this post. The US has 300 million population, or 280, which means you don't know anyone who will admit that he's elected him, but you see there's a huge number of people which share this message. So you can actually see the power of social media just in this election. Anyhow, I'm not going to tell you more about this, what I think about it. I can probably sense it. But I think it's an interesting case where you can look at social media, how it has spread, how messages have spread, how rumors have spread, how people reacted to all these things. And I think you probably have similar examples in your countries. I hope we're not going to see more examples like that. But I think it's a good learning on the use of social media. And coming back to political correctness, I'm talking about the Twitter hashtag we have here. So Celia has actually implemented a simpler registration. So you register your hashtag like MPN CL16, and then again you get stats on the whole tweets, on all the social media posts that you see on that conference. You can see actually here, and this is very interesting when you run a campaign. On the right side, you see stats on the hashtag over the past 2 days. And you can see on the right side the top 10 by tweets, so which accounts did most tweets. Thank you, Celia, for driving our social media channel so heavily. So CML Advocates Network is number 1. But of course, this is this conference. When you do a campaign, you can read here who is actually talking most about you. And the mention says which ones are mostly talking about you at the same time. So either who's tweeting themselves or who mentions you. And there you can find probably people that are influencing your community, but you haven't been in touch with. And so you can connect with their profiles and use what they do and use them as an extrapolator of your message. So these stats are really helpful to understand in your community. And they are very sophisticated tools where you get a large spider map, who's connected to whom, who is repeating what others are saying. By that you can build a social media strategy based on these tools, just by having a hashtag on the net, putting at a conference or a campaign, and then let it go and see what it does. It's a very cool tool. So at the end, what is social media? And I think Lorna, Zoring, and John are already going back and forth because we're at the end of our time. Yes. Oh, it's okay. No, but we're more or less at the end. What is social media? It's really about building conversation with your audience. It's not just a channel where you communicate. It's a dialogue. And it's about the way of building relationships through sharing things. People are sharing things with you. You're sharing things. You need to go where your audience is. But the most important thing, and that's probably something we can discuss over lunch and afterwards and via Facebook and whatever, go where your audience is. And it's the best way is to just do it. Because you will learn things that work. You will do things wrong. It's not a catastrophe if things go wrong. Because usually things go away pretty quickly. But just get started with it. Find people that support you and probably accelerate your message and tweet and so on. And that way you can just go.
No, stop.
Not yet?
No. No. Okay, so this is our last slide, and this is a high-risk slide that I'm going to finish the presentation. Because this is a slide, a kind of joke, how to engage with your audience. And I show it to Jan, and he said, "What do you mean?" So I don't know, it is going to be a total failure, and no one understands what I mean of you're going to laugh. Felici, I think he's going to laugh. Just do it. Okay, Jan, let's go. You put, yeah. So, social media general rules. I have a ton of followers, but I need help improving social media engagement. And she just answers, just misspell something. Okay, so no one laughed. So you were right, Jan. So, okay, so I'm totally crashed.
But it's a very tricky thing. But if you just, of course, I'm not advising you to misspell something. But when you misspell something, it just makes you see if your audience is paying attention. And in fact, it happened with me once. I misspelled Hodgkin lymphoma, and I had lots and lots of comments on it. So it was great. I could talk personally to these people and engage with all these people, and I could see that they were paying attention. That was what I meant. So this is not one-way conversation, it's a two-way conversation, and this was just a joke. Well, not a very successful one, but at least I tried to. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much.